Playoff spot has already been clinched, but there's still one more game of group stages to be had here at the U17 World Cup for the United States. And they will take on the U17 representatives of the Czech Republic, who lead Group I in goal differential in the first two games of the group stage, but still need a win to guarantee a place in the knockout stages that begin next week in Qatar. Welcome into another State of Soccer watch-along here on State of Soccer's YouTube channel. I am Josh Sperber, joined by my broadcast partner, Jamie Lauder, for the final game of group stage action for the United States U17 team. And this is the second different country that I have called a game with Jamie, so it's nice to finally be able to do it in the comfort of my own home. Welcome to State of Soccer, Jamie.
Thank you for having me on. Thank you for Brian as well for the opportunity. And yeah, it seems like a long time ago we were calling the USMNT game in the World Cup for the senior teams back in Qatar. And it's great to be doing it again alongside you and obviously looking at hopefully the stars of the next generation of USMNT talent.
You're absolutely right. Some guys that could feature maybe in the 2030 World Cup. 2026 might be a bit too soon considering it is within less than a year, but a World Cup is still to be had. U17 World Cup action. United States leading Group I with 6 points. Wins against Burkina Faso and then a comeback victory against Tajikistan last week to clinch their spot in the knockout stage. And now Czech Republic with a win and a loss after taking a 6-1 victory against Tajikistan. They were upset 2-1 by Burkina Faso. Now it is Czech Republic in the driver's seat with that +4 goal differential. Burkina Faso with 3 points as well. But United States has been the class of Group I so far, and a big reason for it has been Kevin Sullivan. He's got a goal in every match that the U.S. has played and has a hand in all 3 goals the United States have scored this tournament. 2 goals and an assist for Sullivan so far. He is one of the few returning starters from the opening matchups who gets the nod in this third game of the group stage.
Yeah, Kevin Sullivan's a player that I think a lot of people over here in the UK know of. Even if you don't closely follow the MLS or closely follow US soccer, I think Kevin Sullivan is a name because of how well he's doing for both the young national teams and within Philly Union at such a young age. He's a player that I think has got loads of potential. That there was talk, I'm not sure if it's gone through, but obviously there was talk about him going over to Manchester City as well, which, given how rigorous their scouting program is worldwide, shows how well he's doing at such a young age.
Absolutely. And with the success that Man City has had recently, you know that they don't choose their youth players to join their senior team eventually without much discretion. And Kevin Sullivan certainly worthy of that inclusion. Meanwhile, the Czech Republic, as I said, really playing for a spot in the knockout stages. A big win, the biggest of Group I so far in Game 1. Different showing in the second game. And they've got a former Czech player as a head coach in Pavel Dursic, Jamie, who you told me some interesting things about with the way that he runs his offense for this young Czechia team.
Yeah, Pavel Dursic's a coach that I've been aware of quite some time because of his eccentric nature, really as a manager and as a coach. You know, he said publicly before that he idolizes Jurgen Klopp. He wants to play offensive, attacking football. He wants his teams to be on the front foot, and he says, if it's not entertaining, then I don't want it. So this is the first time that I'm going to see one of his teams in action for the first time. And to be honest, I'm really, really excited to see how we can put his philosophy out on the pitch with a young group of players.
Well, I really like if it's not entertaining, we don't want it quote. And we might have to co-opt that first day to soccer here, because that's certainly what we're going to be looking for in this final match of the group stage. U17 Czech Republic against U17 United States, with a spot in the knockout stage on the line for the Czech Republic, who line up in a 4-2-3-1 formation with a goaltender, Adam Parr, in between the pipes. On defense, the Czech Republic lines up with Martin Kovar on the right side. The center backs, Milan Hendricks and Sebastian Peck. Lucas Vanek, the left back. Jan Janega is one of the 5 midfielders for the Czech Republic, joined with Hugo Suchek, Martin Palasek, Peter Potmasil, and Vit Skurnon. Adam Novak up front as the striker for the Czech Republic. A lot of younger names. Hopefully I'm not mispronouncing them, so apologies.
You've done very well there.
Pronunciations there. But the Czech Republic with kind of a similar look than we've seen in their first few matches of this knockout stage.
Yeah, I think straight away, even with that lineup, you can see how offensive it is. You can look at the average positions from the first couple of games that the Czech Republic U17s have taken up. They're really offensive. You can tell already that, I mean, one of the key tellers really is through the shirt numbers. The left back's wearing a number 8. That straight away that tells you, without having to watch them, that he's going to bomb forward. They're probably going to try and look to play with 5 or 6 on the front line once those fullbacks get nice and high. And like I said, I'm sure it'll be a joy to watch, hopefully.
United States have the luxury of resting some of their typical starters. But Kevin Sullivan, not among them. He is one of the 5 midfielders in a 4-1-4-1 formation as we are underway in Qatar. The United States wearing the home whites, Czech Republic red tops and blue shorts as the USA gets started, sending one out of bounds down the near side line. Aiden Stokes remains in goal. He has been the starter for the United States in both prior games. In front of him, differences in both the fullback positions. Jordan Griffin, the left back, and on the right side, Julian Hall, a surprise inclusion as a fullback for the man who started as the out-and-out striker in game number 1. Kevin Sullivan is joined by Cooper Sanchez as the defensive midfield, Jude Terry, Jameer Johnson, and Maxi Carrizo man the center of the park for the United States, with Mateo Sequiris as the striker in this 4-1-4-1 formation for Gonzalo Segares. So a very different look for the United States. But as we said, Jamie, with those 2 wins and a knockout spot already clinched, they have the freedom to kind of mess around a little bit and try out some things against this solid Czech Republic side.
Absolutely. I think as a young player playing in this tournament, it's, for some of these, this might be the biggest games they play in their career. Being broadcast worldwide in front of a huge stage, for their nations, really. And I don't think there's a better feeling as a young player than being told by your manager, go out, play with freedom, you can go and enjoy it. Because they kind of, obviously, there's the added pressure that they want to finish top of the group. So it's not a game for nothing, really, but it's as close as you'll get from this stage onwards in the tournament, which I'm sure the players will relish the opportunity to go out and just enjoy the football.
And Gonzalo Segares has done a really good job of including really the entire U17 team for the United States. The only 2 players that have yet to feature in a match for the United States, Jack Cordkamp and William Lodmell. Everyone else has either started or been used as a substitute extensively for the United States. And especially with that knockout spot already clinched, they have the freedom to just get more players the time on this big stage.
Absolutely. I think obviously we spoke a lot about Pavel Dursek's tactical approach, and obviously at any level of football, particularly U17 National World Cup, tactics are important, but I think ultimately when you're working within a national team setting, it's equally as important to make sure that the group's together. If you're playing with the same 13, 14 players throughout the whole tournament, then there's obviously going to be grumblings. Players are going to be unhappy because they want to play. So I think for me, Gonzalo Scaris has done a fantastic job, like you're saying, including as many players as he can while still maintaining that winning mentality. Really.
And I think the biggest shock when you take a look at this U.S. lineup is Julian Hall as the right back. As I mentioned, in game one for the United States when they took on Burkina Faso, Hall was the starting striker, and he was the lone man up front. How do you explain a big tactical and positional shift like that, bringing a striker down to the back line?
I think it backs up what we said earlier. Obviously, Julian Hall playing as a right back is going to be an offensive fullback. He's going to want to get on. He's going to want to get on the ball and dictate play from deep. And for me, I look at that, and again, I'm really excited because it's not one where, Gonzalo Sagares is saying we're just going to hold on. A draw gets us top of the group. He's saying, you know what, this is a chance for my players to go out and express themselves. I want loads of attacking quality on the pitch. And yeah, it's really exciting to see him in a deeper position where hopefully he can impact the game similar to how he did on match day one.
And another tactical shift, maybe not as drastic as a striker to right back, but Mateo Sequeiros, who's been playing at the center midfielder, slotted in as the number 9 in Gonzalo Sagares' starting 11. And that is a bit less of an eye-popping shift, but still an interesting tactical change. And we've already seen Sequeiros dropping well back into defense from that high striker position.
Yeah, I think football nowadays, one of the old cliches is that the defense starts at the front, and now you press and how you set up to win the ball initially and then counter press when you lose it. It's so important. So I'll reference one of my favorite strikers in the USMNT setup, Josh Sargent. He gets into so many teams because of his work rate and his pressing. Strikers nowadays can get into starting 11s solely because of their work rate without the ball, because they can press, they can be aggressive, they can do the hard graft, and it gives their players like Kevin Sullivan the freedom to get on the ball, have a little bit less of a defensive responsibility, and go out there and do what they do best, which is have the ball at their feet and bring some of that technical brilliance that we know he can provide.
And I do love seeing Kevin Sullivan right next to Maxi Carrizo in that center of the park. I might be a little biased because Carrizo is a youth player for New York City FC. That's where I'm from. That might factor into it a little bit, but I mean, just two really solid attacking midfielders bossing the center of that park for the United States should make things interesting tonight.
Absolutely.
United States controlling the ball well in their attacking third before they're dispossessed by the Czech Republic. That one knocked away by Lucas Vanek. As this ball now pinballs towards the midfield. About 6 minutes have gone by in this first half. Haven't seen a shot just yet from either side. But it's been another clinical performance for the United States. One of, I think, their biggest successes so far this tournament is their ability to maintain possession. They have absolutely dominated possession time in the first few minutes, or in the first 2 matches of this tournament, and it seems like they're in control of the ball already against this Czech Republic team.
Absolutely. I think you can tell how much technical quality there is amongst this group already, that they want to dominate the ball. They want to make things happen. And that's it. Like I say, it would be easy to let the Czech Republic dictate the game, because really they're the ones that are going to have to try and come after it and make things happen themselves. But the U17 is saying, no, we want to get on the ball. We want to make things happen. And it's great to see.
They've always, at least in this tournament, every single match, they've been a team that tries to put their stamp on it from the beginning. As the Czech Republic get a touch inside the 18-yard box, and now they've got a chance with Jan Janega. He passes the ball forward. U.S. defending it well, pushing the ball towards the outer edges of the 18-yard box. Still in control by Potmisil. Sends it inside, but it goes out of bounds. Janega, the intended target, but the ball slips long for a goal kick. But the Czech Republic, on that last run of play, finally getting some ball control and getting some serious chances inside the United States attacking third.
Definitely. I think that was really good emergency defending. If you see, like we said, we talked about Julian Hall not being a natural defender or being more of an offensive player. Straight away, you can tell how much work has went into the individual game plan prep for this match, and that they've narrowed off, made them really hard to enter the USMNT box. And yeah, I think good defending to start off from the US national team.
U.S. swarming the ball, but it's still the Czech Republic in control. As Jamie pointed out earlier, the Czech team clearly trying to be the aggressors so far, as they've got a knockout spot in the balance. We'll have to keep an eye on the score for the other Group I game that's going on, Burkina Faso and Tajikistan, with Burkina Faso angling for a spot in the knockout stage. Still 0-0 with that match starting. We'll keep an eye on Group I action for you. But first, we'll go into the comments where we have some new listeners and some repeat listeners or viewers joining along with us in this watch along. Of course, Brian McDonough always tuning in when he can't be in. We'll welcome our fearless leader. Nurl Skulkin has been a viewer, I think, of all three of these matches. And frankly, I wish Mathis Albert was playing too, but I don't think it's a bad idea that he's getting a rest before those knockout stage matches. Albert has been one of the top players for the United States. And I want to pose a question to our wonderful fans joining in with us on this watch along. Jamie, you can start with your answer as well. Looking at this U17 team, taking out Kevin Sullivan, because he has probably been the best player in this tournament so far, who has been the most impressive United States player aside from Kevin Sullivan this tournament? Because for me, it's Nimfasha Berchimas, but Mathis Albert certainly has to be on that list.
Absolutely. I think both players have really surprised me in how well they've done. You know, obviously, I'm not a stark follower of, MLS Next Gen football. But also for me, I think Matteo Zacharis, I want to say pronounce his name. I think he's a player that I really like because he does his job. He's a similar player to Rodri, I would say, in the sense of he's not going to pull up any trees, but like we were saying with having, an offensive structure that allows your best players to get on the ball, I think Zacharis is excellent in that he does the dirty work. He recycles the ball and he gets the more technically talented and more offensively gifted players on the ball for the US national team. And for this under-17s team, for me, I think he's been instrumental in allowing the more offensive-minded players to get on the ball, play, make things happen.
And he appears to have switched with Julian Hall, who is now more positioned as the out-and-out striker, while it's Securis as the right back. And especially going off what you said there, Jamie, that just seems like the right move. He's been such a smooth passing midfielder in these first two games for the United States. And having that in the fullback position, I think, presents a big advantage for the United States.
Absolutely. I agree. He's a player, I think some of the best fullbacks, really, and obviously he's more naturally a central midfielder, but some of the best fullbacks are the ones that go unnoticed in the sense that they get the ball, they open out, and they hook up the line to a winger or try and find a centre forward or an attacking midfielder like Calvin Sullivan's feet. He doesn't have to be the Trent Alexander-Arnold type that gets on the ball and gets 15, 20 assists a season or is one that lights up the game, but he's a player that allows the better players, without obviously meaning any disrespect, to get on the ball and dictate the game.
We'll see if Securis can keep that going from the back line as the United States gets it as possession of the Czech team, but heavy press from the Czechia Republic results in a turnover. Palasek and Yanega with a nice little 1-2. Yanega tries to cut inside. Palasek on the receiving end. He is blocked out. Czech Republic wants the ball. It looks like it's going to be a USA clearance from the goal line. But I like seeing the aggression from the Czech Republic so far.
Definitely. I think by virtue of their first two results, they've got to be the aggressors in this match, and they've got to be the ones that make things happen and really look to go for it. But definitely, you can see it isn't just something that they can turn on for this game. Obviously, the head coach is adamant that's the way that he wants football to be played. And you can see that with the amount of goals in their opening 2 games more than anything else. You know, they've only got 3 points in the group, but like you said at the start, they lead the group on goal difference. So it's no surprise really that they've wanted to be the aggressors, be the offensive team in this match, and really look to set a stamp on the match.
And you can already notice, if you guys are watching along with us, that this is the most difficult time the United States have had clearing the ball from their defensive zone. I mean, they have just dominated possession in every single step of each of the first 2 matches. But with the aggressive play of the Czech Republic, it's making the clearances a lot more difficult for the U.S. United States gets this one past the midfield line, though the pass falls too far forward, and now Czechia is in control. Martin Kovar passing the ball along the back line for the Czech Republic.
I think
their center backs.
I think it's interesting that scene that we just showed there. The scene that we just saw there, where the camera was zoomed out and you could see the United States pressing structure. They are really rigid in that 4-1-4-1 shape, which I think is absolutely going to the Czech Republic's advantage, because obviously pressing with 1 striker against Czech Republic's 2 centre halves and a pivot, every time they're getting caught on the wrong side of that diamond, where it's so easy for the Czech Republic to play out, and it resulted to that chance that we've just seen there.
Yeah, Vít Skirkon gets one off the post. A rebound almost put past Aiden Stokes, but it ends up in the first corner kick of the game. And it is the Czech Republic getting the first chance in this one. Corner ball, jumping shot. Now a low-flying grounder scooped up by Aiden Stokes, who has been on the ball in every possible way so far this tournament. And he picks up a save early on after a very difficult sequence in front of the net.
Yeah, there was a well-worked routine by the Czech Republic, clearly using blockers to allow Skirkon the free strike, and unfortunately for him, he should not got the timing of the ball right.
United States can't get the clearance. Ball back with the Czech defense. Milan Hendricks sending it forward for the Czech Republic. This one bombed to the wing, and that's headed away by the United States. U.S. trying to make a run after it, but it goes out of bounds. So the forward momentum is halted. United States will get the ball on a throw-in on the far side, as it looks like the refs will go to VAR, possibly to see who touched that one last. Or maybe a little something on the corner kick. It looks like the corner is coming through on the VAR.
Yeah,
maybe looking for a potential handball. I don't know. What do you see on this from the coach's perspective there, Jamie?
It's a harsh one, because I think particularly as it's coming into the US national team players, Maxi Carita, he's obviously expecting Skirka to have the shot before, and he's not expecting him to sort of fluff his lines and mistime the shot. So it's obviously not intentional, but I think it comes down to what the rules are nowadays around whether it has to be an intentional handball or just the ball hitting the defensive player's hand.
Looks like the refs will have their result. I don't think that should be a penalty. It looks like he was doing his level best to pin that right or that left arm to his body. Because if you tuck your arm in, it's not an intentional handball, and the refs aren't going to call it. And that seems to be the case here. Czech Republic obviously wanting that ball to go to the penalty spot, but it does not look like it's to be. But we see certainly a very close call. But it ends up going for the U.S.
I think that's the right decision. Like you say, he's tucked his arm into his body, and he's not expected to miss the strike on goal previously. You know, it's sort of fallen into his path, and it isn't one that you'd give a penalty for.
Julian Hall now as the striker sends the ball to Sullivan. He's dispossessed on a move into the box. United States trying to win the ball back quickly. Heavy press on this Czech back line. 2 on the ball. Kevin Sullivan tries to strip it away. Did it hit off a U.S. leg? It did, and it'll be a throw-in for the Czech Republic. But we're seeing some pressure now on the other side from the U.S. with a Czech Republic team that dominated possession in the first 17 minutes.
Absolutely. It's what was needed. With the US national team pressing with one striker, it's always going to be easy to play out. And it looked like Sullivan was allowing, really, in the early stages, fullback to run away from him and peel off to receive deep. Whereas now, just by having a bit more of a collective press and having 2 or 3 bodies instead of the one each, makes it so much harder for the Czech national team to play out.
Now the Czech pressing as the United States get it back to their center backs. Enrique Martinez getting his first start after Ramiz Hamuda got the start with Christopher Cupps in the first 2 games. But Martinez came on as a sub for Hamuda in each of those first 2 games. In the 19th minute here, still scoreless. Czech Republic has had a couple of chances close to the net, but no one with a clear-cut shot thus far. Adam Parr now on the goal kick for the Czech Republic. And it appears Nurse Skulkin is also a Hamuda fan. I think among defenders, he might be the most impressive defensive player I've seen for the U.S. so far, as Kevin Sullivan gets the cross-field pass. United States now forced to run backwards, facing the Czech pressure, but building it back forward. Jameer Johnson, who had a nice run as left wing against Tajikistan in the last match, getting the start as the left midfielder today, sends it backwards as the defense tries to bring it up. But I like the calmness to the United States game right now. They're not forcing it, but they're just trying to keep possession and let their defense kind of almost lull this Czech team to sleep before they make their move. And here it comes. U.S. in attacking third right now. Securis in control. Now it goes back to the midfield, over to Jordan Griffin, making his first appearance of the tournament today. Now to Johnson. Sends it to the middle. Back to Securis on the right side. Sullivan, right mid today. Him and Jude Terry switching on that center mid and right mid spot. Here's Jude Terry. Sub and a starter so far this tournament. Now the United States beginning to attack. Julian Hall with a shot. Bounces off the goalie, but it's knocked away. Looks like it was Sebastian Peck who got the final foot on that one. But Adam Parr with a nice diving save for the Czech Republic.
Yeah, really good chance there. Jude Terry, so imperative to the build-up there. His weight of pass, how he dictated the play. It's similar to how we've seen Kevin Sullivan do in these opening 2 games, but really enjoy that piece of play from Jude Terry to create the chance and a good shooting opportunity.
With both of those 2 on the right side, that could get dangerous for the United States. Again, building it through the back. As our fearless leader, Brian McDonough, is going for the stream MVP today. Can tell he's really working, but I don't think we can give that award to the guy who runs this channel, even if we probably should to save our own jobs. But that's a different conversation. Here comes the USA. Chip pass from Kevin Sullivan towards the center of the box, deflected away, and now it's being brought up by Adam Novak. It was Czech as the aggressors early on as Novak brings that one forward into the attacking third, crosses the 18-yard line, into the 6-yard box, rams the shot, but into the outside net for a goal kick.
Yeah, good defending in the box there from the US men's national team. Closing off the angle, forcing him into the shot, good touch-type marking in the box. And from that angle, you'd always expect Aidan Stokes to deal with it, if not see the shot wide.
And Novak trying to make a solo run. Securis there on the defense for the United States. But they're now both teams starting to get some serious chances on net after a somewhat quiet first 10 or 15 minutes. Make sure to give us a like, subscribe, a follow. You have to subscribe to comment, so make sure to do that. We'll have some knockout stage games coming up for the United States, as they are the only team in Group I who has punched their ticket, and Kevin Sullivan almost made it another 1-0 lead. As I mentioned earlier, he's got a goal in each of the first 2 matches, with a goal and an assist in the 2-1 win against Tajikistan this past weekend.
He's so dangerous cutting in from that right side onto his left foot.
And almost curled that one, and he beat the goaltender, but missed the outer post by less than a foot. So Kevin Sullivan getting one of the best chances in for the United States. And Knurls, I don't think I could have said that better myself. I mean, that would have been an absolute worldie had that goal gone in for Kevin Sullivan. If you're a Man City fan, you've got to be salivating at the play of Sullivan, seeing him in blue in a couple of years. It's going to be dangerous, and another good thing for American soccer. I don't think I've seen a U.S. prospect this technically skilled since Christian Pulisic.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. He's the one that springs to your mind, doesn't he? I think his maturity on the ball, by the way, his technical ability is superb, and obviously the physical side of the games where he lacks a little bit, but his experiences with the Philly Union, and obviously in the next couple of years with Manchester City coming over to play in England, it will only help develop him as a well-rounded, holistic footballer.
And it's still impressive to me how much he changes the game just by entering. You go back to that 60th minute of the United States opener in this U17 tournament against Burkina Faso. It was an interesting game, but it was 0-0 at the time Kevin Sullivan entered. And when he got on the match, it just seemed like a switch flipped in the United States midfield. And a lot of that was due to Kevin Sullivan, who eventually scored the match-winning goal. He's now in control, dribbles in and out of the box, and has his shot deflected by the Czech defense. A 2-man wall for the men in red as they now traverse the midfield line. Beautiful through ball going forward to Novak. He's on the chase, knocked away by the United States defense. Great job on the recovery by Jordan Griffith. And Nero Skokin with a great point, comparing Sullivan's vision and passing to Kevin De Bruyne almost, who, frankly, when you think of attacking midfielders at Manchester City, it's going to be the first one that pops to mind.
Absolutely. I see that comparison a lot. I think the other one that you would probably directly compare him to is Phil Foden, a left-footed player that can play in the middle or out wide, as that obvious technical quality and vision. And I'd personally say now his ceiling is higher than Phil Foden's, and there's not too much between the two players' ages.
I really like that Phil Foden comparison, because I remember watching Phil's first couple of games with Manchester City and feeling a lot of the same things that I'm feeling when I see Kevin Sullivan play now, just that kind of energy and the high octane offensive ability for both guys. But, if you're a midfielder and Manchester City signs you, that means you're doing something right. I mean, they know how to build a strong midfield up in Man City.
Absolutely. If you remember, Phil Foden was a big part of the England team that won the U17 World Cup in 2017, I want to say now. So who knows? It might be a good omen that we're making that comparison to Kevin Sullivan.
Kevin Sullivan just turning 16, is pointed out by our fearless leader. I don't think he'd disagree with that one, though. Czech Republic on another corner kick. This time they go a bit shorter. Long pass in from the box, met by a header. I believe that was Julian Hall on the clearance for the United States. Well defended on the corner. Czech still with a chance, as that one headed away by the U.S. defense. Sullivan on the run. The ball sent forward. Now coming in for the Czech Republic is Skirkon. Skirkon with a pass from the end line, headed into the net, but it misses high and wide for the Czech Republic. Shooter Adam Novak, but a goal kick for the United States, and another well-worked chance by the Czech Republic.
Definitely, that was a massive opportunity, and one where the US national team right backs just switched off as that crosses came in. He's more conscious probably of his next action rather than just dealing with the man in the box, and allows him to have that header unopposed.
And Earl Skokin also questioning the ceiling higher than Phil Foden thing. Certainly not against you. Just I know I'm a big Phil Foden fan as well. But saying that Kevin Sullivan might have a higher ceiling than Phil Foden is quite high praise.
I think that they're so similar players. Obviously, I've worked within the academy setup in England for quite some years, and some of the things that you hear about Phil Foden when he was sort of 12, 13 years old, going to different teams and playing at that age is similar to the remarks that we're hearing over here in the UK about Kevin Sullivan at that age. So I think obviously both players are really similar, that they've got fantastic technical ability, and hey, if Kevin Sullivan's half the player of Phil Foden, then I think it'll only be a good thing for the USMNT.
You're absolutely right. And I think that if you guys are talking about a United States prospect overseas at some of the youth camps that you guys are seeing in England with the amount of talent that they have in their youth system, another example of just Kevin Sullivan already showing himself off as a wonder kid. And this U17 tournament seems very well to be his launching pad onto the more broader national stage as one of soccer's best prospects. United States getting a clearance there with another dangerous Czech Republic move forward.
Yeah, well dealt with by Chris Cupps there. And I think he's another one that would probably be a contender for one of the best players for the USMNT in the tournament so far. Even though he's not had loads to do, you can tell what a leader he is, how good he is in the dressing room for the rest of the lads. And yeah, he's a player that I'd be really excited to watch as he matures as a footballer.
But I think that's like part of the point as a center back. Unless you're one of those really aggressive center backs, like maybe a Sergio Ramos, you kind of want to be seen and not heard, right? You just want to be in the middle of all those tough plays, like we've seen from Cupps, who, by the way, hasn't taken a rest. He's played every single minute of this tournament so far for the United States. And that's all you want as a center back, someone who's just going to stay in the game and quietly stand tall in that 18-yard box.
Yeah, that's a telltale sign in itself, because we spoke earlier about Gonzalo Segares' prominence to change his team, and for Cupps to be one of the starters, obviously, every week and playing 90 minutes in every game. It shows how highly Segares and the whole team and staff group values him.
The only two players who have started all three games for the United States so far this tournament, Christopher Cupps and the goalie, Aiden Stokes. That one seems to be a bit more obvious.
Yeah.
But impressive if you can just get a guy starting every match of a big-time tournament like this, and an impressive intervention from Cupps there, deflecting a shot from the Czech Republic out of bounds for another corner kick.
Yeah, well, we'll see what the Czech Republic do on this one. Like we say, with the first one, that they employed blockers to allow Skurkau that free shot on the edge of the box. We'll see if it's a similar sort of setup here.
Their most recent corner kick, they went short, both well defended by the United States, but almost the entire Czech team is inside the 18-yard box right now, waiting for a ball from the right side of the pitch. 30 minutes have gone by. We're into the 32nd minute now, still scoreless in one of the most even games we have seen so far for the U.S. The left-footed Jan Janega standing over the ball over the right corner flag. They'll go with the in-swinger towards the far post, punched away by Stokes, but Czech Republic still in control. They'll play it back to their defense and recycle the play, but great positioning from Aiden Stokes. Here comes the Czech Republic. Ball cut in, shot, knocked away. Christopher Cupps once again erasing the shot from the Czech Republic for another corner.
Yeah, really good by Christopher Cupps there, and really good by Aiden Stokes beforehand. But we employ that corner quite a lot in my club now, and we call it the flatten the goalkeeper corner. It's one where you just want to put it on, make life uncomfortable, and Stokes done really well to come and own his box and claim it.
Soccer definitely has more creative name for like plays than any other sport. Just on that, I can already tell. Another corner kick for the Czech Republic. They have a dummy there, sent in an outswinging ball, and that's knocked out of bounds. Stokes lets it go, and it's a U.S. goal kick.
Yeah, really like the intensity to take it quickly there by Aidan Stokes, and hopefully USMNT can get on the ball a little bit higher up the pitch and start to assert themselves with a little bit more pitch tilt.
And this might be the most even matchup we've seen so far in terms of possession time. United States has had an average of about 70-30 favored in terms of possession time in the first two matches. But for the first time this entire tournament, their opponent is out controlling the United States in terms of possession. Czech Republic 53% to the USA's 47 so far. So, well, evenly played matchup as the United States works a move in. Pass goes a bit too long. I believe a couple of Czech defenders got a foot on it. United States still trying to maintain control. Ball's pinballed to the Czech Republic. They go out wide as they cut back upfield. And foul going to be called. Down goes the left back in Vanek as Jude Terry gets called for a foul. A little jersey grab. They're going to call that one every time.
Yeah, silly one to give away, but it's always going to be a foul.
About 12 minutes with the excluding extra time left in this first half. Still scoreless, not for lack of trying by each team. That ball takes a deflection and rolls to Aidan Stokes, who has been impeccably positioned over the first couple of games of this tournament. He'll start the clearance on the ground. USA still has the ball at their feet inside the 18-yard box. Heavy press from the Czech Republic.
Yeah, really good play by the United States to break out of that and find the free man. It's easier said than done, but they did really well there to anticipate the press. The Czech Republic tried to lock them into the right side, and they managed to find Griffin over on the far side to carry the ball out.
And they weren't too far off from just taking that ball right off of Stokes' foot. I mean, heavy press from the Czech Republic, but the United States unshaken by this pressure from Czechia. Great ball in for Christopher Cupps, going on the far side for Hall. Kevin Sullivan races to keep that one out of bounds. Looks like it's unsuccessful. No, flags up for offsides.
Yeah, Jude Terry, great movement in the build-up, but that technical quality at the end, the weight of pass, like he did so well to set up the chance earlier in the match. Just got to be a little bit better, take more care of that one.
So a throw in for the Czech Republic. 10 minutes left in regulation in this first half. Still scoreless. Each team's with multiple chances so far. United States 4 shot attempts, one of them on goal. Czech Republic 1 for 8 in terms of shot on goal. But Czechia has not committed a foul, 7 for the U.S. so far.
I really like this camera angle to see how the USMNT are building up and how deep Kevin Sullivan's dropping to get on the ball and provide that option wide with Jude Terry pressing on the front line. This build-up shape's excellent, and like we say, you can see right in this frame right now that, like we said, really aggressive fullbacks. And the USA have got 4 on the front line, and Kevin operating from deeper.
And that's something they've done so well this whole tournament is just control the wings. It seems like no matter who is in there, whether it's Berchimas on the right side, now it's Sullivan, you had Hall coming on the left side. I mean, whoever is on that wing for the United States in tandem with the fullbacks just completely controls the side of the pitch. Now Sullivan with a furious move inside, beautiful cross, but it's headed away. United States still trying after it. Carrizo gets the rebound off a leg. Kevin Sullivan tries to poke it towards the net. It's cleared away, and the United States still in control, but a hand up from the referee. Looks like we'll see a handball coming against Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah, I think that's a harsh decision, but how good was that from Kevin Sullivan in the build-up? That little turn of pace, a step over to create space for himself, and the cross on his right foot, by the way, there was superb and was asking for someone to attack it.
And I think, honestly, This might be a bit of a hot take, but Kevin Sullivan might be the best U.S. soccer prospect I have ever seen. I mean, I just have never seen a national team match for the U.S. where one United States player is just controlling the game so much whenever he has the ball at his feet. I mean, you see so much cushion given against Sullivan from the defense because he could beat you so easily. And it just seems like this Czech Republic team is playing not scared of Sullivan, but just wary of his ability. And you don't see a lot of American players defended like that.
No, absolutely, I agree. And I think as US start to progress in this tournament, teams will have to start doubling up against him because he's too good technically to leave 1v1.
Another corner kick for the Czech Republic. In swinger, pinballed around, but it goes out of bounds. Peter Potmesel was the first to direct it towards goal for the Czech Republic.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to watch this one back and see how he gets free again. And yeah, just look at that replay, the number 5 for the Czech Republic acting as that blocker and just allowing the free shot. It's something that the Czech Republic did really well in their opening corner and that one as well. And with 2 better connections, it could easily be 2 goals.
Yeah, I mean, that was the best look they got. That was almost a perfectly placed pass directly from the kick taker to Peter Potmesel, but it just couldn't get into the net for the Czech Republic. Now the USA will clear, and it seems Neural Skolkin has a new favorite player. He's got Albert, I think, as USA's top prospect, with frankly, he is someone that has really impressed me over this tournament. One of the guys that I hadn't really heard of all that much until this tournament. But I mean, I'm going to have to agree with you there, Neurals. Mathis Albert has really impressed me so far this week, so far this U17 tournament.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the best things about these youth tournaments, and whether it's a World Cup or a Gold Cup or a European Championship, you see these players that you don't see performing every week and see some of the potential that you've got in your country.
Mathis Albert had been the set piece taker in his first 2 games, both starts for the US U17 team. Now it's Kevin Sullivan from the far side corner flag, left foot to send an in-swinger with United States players stacked inside the 6-yard box. Sullivan on the in-swinging ball towards the far post, but it's intercepted by Adam Parr. Well read by the Czech goaltender.
Yeah, again, another good set play and one that the Czech Republic broke well there, and Chris Cupps had to make that foul, which I think he'll be lucky if he gets away from that one without receiving a yellow card.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised we haven't seen the refs reach for that back pocket a lot sooner. Kovar is down, and certainly a foul on Cupps. Doesn't look like there's a booking just yet, but still possible. And speaking of the color yellow, Mathis Neural-Skolkin pointing out that Mathis Albert dominating at Dortmund. Seems like that's a good place for United States prospect. We've seen Christian Pulisic and Gio Reyna really stand out and break out at Dortmund, and maybe for the United States, Mathis Albert is going to be the next prospect who turns into a star at Dortmund.
Absolutely. Really well worked free kick there from the Czech Republic, and I've really enjoyed watching all of their set plays so far, whether it's corners or goal kicks. Obviously, set pieces are massive in football at the moment, and particularly in a tournament like this where there's not naturally going to be loads of goals in, particularly these tighter games. They're really executing them to their best ability.
And this has been, I think, the most evenly played, just one of the best all-around games that we've seen during this U17 tournament. Now, Kevin Sullivan racing up the pitch, working into a one-on-one, tries to cut in towards the middle, somehow keeps his foot on the ball. Kevin Sullivan tipped off the defender, and it goes out of bounds. That was almost an incredible solo goal from Kevin Sullivan, taking on half the Czech defense, dribbling from box to box, but missing the shot on not an easy one with Sebastian Peck right on him. What a play and an almost goal from Kevin Sullivan.
Wow, what a play. That was a great run, and how he moves his center of gravity is superb there. He never looked like he'd lost control of the ball. it was excellent. And I think Sebastian Peck just does enough to put him off by lunging that left fire into his path without giving away a foul, obviously. And it does enough to just take off the power and the strike and send it wide.
I don't want to disrespect Mathis Albert, but hey, Knurls, after that, you still think you might have Albert over Kevin Sullivan there? I mean, that was, if that had been scored a goal, that would have been the most impressive run of play that we've seen this tournament. Even without the goal, that was still quite a move from Kevin Sullivan.
Absolutely.
But we appreciate you guys joining in from the comments. Obviously, we want to see more of that. Big thanks to Knurls and Brian for joining us in the comment section and helping make this watch along extra fun for us. Josh Sperber, Jamie Lauder here on State of Soccer in the U17 World Cup, live from Qatar and our respective living rooms, with the United States locked in a 0-0 draw with the Czech Republic. Police Knurls has answered us calling out though after that play. Might have a tie at the top in his mind for the top USA prospect with our current leader in the clubhouse for the stream MVP in Knurls Skulkin. United States just kind of baiting the Czech Republic there, and Stokes finally picks it up to get ready for the clearance. 2 minutes left, well, a minute and a half now in regulation. I'd say maybe 3 minutes max added for extra time in this first half, but we should see a shorter period of extra time as it's been a pretty well-flowing game for the United States and Czechia.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to be inside either change room at halftime to see, because it's been a really interesting tactical contest as well, with both teams having players change positions in the match and change how they press or how they build up to counter the other. It's been a really interesting encounter so far in this opening half.
Yeah, it looks like the Czech Republic has switched up their midfield a little bit, moved Skirkon forward as the striker. We've talked at length about the United States changes in their lineups, but it's always good to see two teams kind of adjusting their formations, their starting fixtures as the match goes on. You're seeing a really well-coached match, as unfortunately the Czech Republic has a player down. Adam Novak is getting some help from the trainers. So we'll take a look at Group I. Both matches are 0-0. Burkina Faso and Tajikistan each fighting for a spot in, well, technically it's just Burkina Faso fighting for a spot in the knockout stages. Tajikistan eliminated after the loss to the United States. And there are 2 minutes added in extra time as Adam Novak is now standing on his feet for the Czech Republic, limping off with the trainers. So he is someone we might not see for the rest of the match. But in Group I action, United States is the only team that is clinched. They will win the group with a draw or a victory. And the Czech Republic can win the group with a victory. They will enter the knockout stages with a draw and a Burkina Faso loss or draw. So a long free kick from the Czech Republic headed towards the net, and it goes out of bounds. Last man to touch it, Milan Hendricks on the goal kick now for the USA.
Yeah, I think I would agree with your sentiment a couple of minutes ago that this has absolutely so far been a well-coached match. You know, both teams are adjusting live. Both teams want to try and play football. They want to get the ball on the deck and get it moved. And I think it's been a really opening encounter, a really interesting opening encounter so far.
And each team has made some runs. Each team has had control of the ball for a long time. It's been a very evenly played matchup, as we can see on the stats there, an even 50% in possession, even in shots on target, similar in shots in general, as the United States in control with a throw-in and 13 seconds left in the first half. We'll take a quick break for halftime. and then come back to you with the second half in about 10 or 15 minutes, as that is going to end half number one. The referee will blow the whistle to finish the first half without a goal. United States entered the second half of their opening match of this tournament in an 0-0 draw, ended up with a victory 1-0 against Burkina Faso, but both Group I matches stand even without a goal after the first half. Jamie, your thoughts on half number one in game number 3 for the United States?
Yeah, I think it's been a really good opening 45 minutes of this match. Both teams are looking to try and play. Both teams are giving it their all, obviously, as you would in an Under-17 World Cup. But it's been a really interesting match, like I say. I think the key thing that I would say that the USMNT have edged it so far, arguably, has been Cameron Sullivan's individual brilliance. But the Czech Republic are really dangerous from set plays. So the more that the US national team allow them to have those opportunities to get crosses in the box and get corners and free kicks away, the more it presents a risk for themselves. So it'll be really interesting to see how this next 45 develops.
Well, the first 45 minutes is over. Our stream MVP frontrunner, Nurse Skulkin, has declared Cavan Sullivan the man of the first half. And frankly, that's a sentiment that I think is pretty easy to agree with. But there is still 45 minutes plus of soccer to play. Scoreless at half between the Czech Republic and United States under-17 teams in under 17 minutes. We'll be back with the second half of soccer action here on State of Soccer. Well, we got the better looking of the two. Holding that
Definitely
motion
not.
screen here. United States and Czech Republic in the U17 matchups. Josh Sperber and Jamie Lauder in this 0-0 tie between the USA and Czech Republic. Both teams are starting to take the field. And Jamie, what are your thoughts on the first half? What does the United States need to do to put a number on that scoreboard other than 0?
Yeah, I think the big thing is improving their pressing. So it's been too easy at times for the Czech Republic to play out, to get on the ball and dictate the game. And we know how much technical quality a big contingent of that US national team squad has. It'd be stupid for them not to try and win the ball higher up the pitch, get on it and play higher up the pitch instead of maintaining it usually within their own defensive third, and try and put their own stamp on this match.
And something the United States might be taking a step forward. Mathis Albert is going to enter the chat, replacing Jamie Johnson. Giuseppe D'Angelo, a former Stream MVP winner, enters our chat as well. Currently, Nurls Skulkin is winning the Stream MVP standings. So if you'd like to win the most coveted award that will be presented today, then make sure to subscribe and join the comment section here on State of Soccer. We are just about underway in the second half. The only substitution, Mathis Albert on for Jameer Johnson. And Nurl Skulkin's favorite player is coming on, but Giuseppe D'Angelo wants another Stream MVP. So we might see the best kind of comment fighting, but in the polite way, because that's how we do it on State of Soccer. Similar starting lineup, same formation for both teams, 4-2-3-1 for the Czech Republic. Mathis Albert replacing Jameer Johnson on the left wing for the United States, with Securis officially penciled in as the right back and Julian Hall penciled in as the striker. Still Stokes in goal behind a strong defense anchored by Chris Cups and Enrique Martinez in the center. United States have kept the clamps on Czechia so far.
Yeah, I think the big thing straight away looking at it is that Sanchez is going to have to work harder to get free in the middle of the park. Obviously, Janega, I want to say his name is, for Czech Republic, is doing a good job marking him out of the match. If he can get free, then he can be the playmaker to allow the US national team more of the ball in the final third.
United States clearing the ball away on a shot from the Czech Republic. And now they'll get the ball back, having Sullivan remaining at the right wing spot. He sends a curling pass towards the center. United States have a man running in, but it meets the arms of Adam Parr on the pass. A creative idea from Kevin Sullivan. Can always expect him to inject some creativity into the U.S. attack.
Yeah, absolutely. But when there's anything not creative, if it's coming from the left boot of Calvin Sullivan.
And this one, a long ball going for Czech Republic. Enrique Martinez meets it first and gets it back to Stokes for the clearance. Now Hall getting his first touches on that left side. He's got some room, defended by Martin Kovar. Cuts back, goes to the defense as the United States slows up their attack in the second minutes of second half action. Christopher Cups getting it from Martinez, skipping and sending a pass forward to Sullivan. He goes, ball sent in towards the center, but it goes wide of the oncoming striker Hall. Now Mathis Albert recovers. USA gets it. Hall, curling shot, no good. Sorry, that was Albert on the shot, misses wide. But the United States still in control in the second half. Very aggressive.
Yeah, really good start to half. And that was a massive chance, by the way, in the middle for Hall. And similar to the two opportunities that the Czech Republic had from corners in the first half, they just misjudged the flight of the ball and the path of it, and weren't able to get clean strikes away. Otherwise, you'd have to think that would have ended up in the back of the net.
But two of the best chances for the United States in this second half early on, after a 50-50 split nearly in terms of possession time. But the foul on Enrique Martinez gives the Czech Republic a free kick, which they'll take short and roll along in this second half. Czech Republic need a goal to win. Need to get a victory to secure a spot in the knockout stages, with Burkina Faso and Tajikistan still tied at 0. With Burkina Faso getting the victory over the Czech Republic, that goal differential is less important in the tiebreakers. So as of right now, it's the USA and Burkina Faso advancing to the knockout stages from Group I, a group that USA was always favored to win, but the Czech Republic was also favored to come out of this Group I. And here come the United States, shot from Carrizo, excuse me. And the United States captain misses the upper corner for a goal kick, but Carrizo.
Excellent run. And that was all dictating from deep there. And good save by the keeper. If he tipped that over, can't work out. Yeah, it looks like it's grazed his fingertips on its way over.
Yeah, barely. I didn't even see that until the replay. So a good save. I believe that's the second of the match for Adam Parr. And United States get a corner kick. Well, just the third corner kick of the match for the USA. Mathis Albert on the ball. Right-footed player sends in the in-swinger. Curls past everyone in the far post for a goal kick. And Albert back to set pieces where he has shined for the United States this tournament. But a goal kick for the Czech Republic. They'll keep it shorter. We've seen both teams go shorter on goal kicks, and it's invited a lot of pressure from the defending side. And I'm wondering, Jamie, what kind of the strategy is for just passing the ball across the back line with the goalie rather than just trying to boot it long.
I think the big thing with that, I think particularly when it's a central defender taking the goal kick, is that when they come inside to a goalkeeper, he's got a number of options. So he's got the pitch open, whereas if it's the goalkeeper taking it from the center of the goal or from either side, then it's much easier to press because you can just force the opposition into one side of the pitch. Whereas if it's a ball from a central defender across to the goalkeeper, they've then got the option of playing centrally for a pivot or out to either side, and it makes it a lot harder to press.
Czech Republic using that to open up the U.S. a little bit as they get the pass into the attacking third from Peck. Now it goes in with a left back in Vanek. He sends a cross in towards the middle, poked away by the United States. And now it's cleared away. Kevin Sullivan sends it long towards Albert in the midfield, but the pass is intercepted. And we go with the Czech Republic back line once again. Here comes Czechia. The shot low on the ground, rolling right at Stokes. Easy save on the shot from Jan Janega. First shot on goal for the Czech Republic in the second half.
Yeah, that came from a wasteful spell, a rare wasteful spell in possession from Kevin Sullivan, where it could have been a real opportunity for the United States to counterattack with Matthias Albert and Jonas Hall as well. But he's wasted that trying to play it early, and the Czech Republic are a team with lots of quality that can counter and if you give the ball away that early in transition.
Czech Republic need to get ahead of the United States to try and get their place in the knockout round. Still scoreless 7 minutes into the second half. Scoreless in the entirety of Group I, with Tajikistan and Burkina Faso resuming play in Qatar as well. United States has already punched their ticket to the knockout stage, and we'll keep you guys posted because we should be having some more watch-alongs for the knockout stage on State of Soccer. I will be joining you guys for more of them, and hopefully Jamie will as well, as the United States cross the midfield line and get fouled. Jordan Griffin and Julian Hall sent to the turf. No card against the Czech Republic.
No, I think that's a tangling of legs there. Definitely a foul. And Julian Hall's done well to win that and create an opportunity now for the United States to go forward.
Now Kevin Sullivan, a one-on-one with Vanek. Low flying cross is knocked away. Looks like Peck got a foot in there before it could meet the leg of Julian Hall. But Kevin Sullivan making things happen again for the USA with a dangerous pass to the center of the box.
Kevin Sullivan looks so hard to defend against 1v1 because he has that rapid turn of pace, and he looks so dangerous off both feet. So it's not as easy as being able to show him on either side. He can really turn you inside and out.
And it is Sullivan, I believe, on the corner kick from the right side. We'll see an in-swinger from Kevin. Near post, headed away by Czechia, but it gets back to the United States. Kevin Sullivan puts the ball back into the cycle, gets the return pass from Carrizo. Sullivan cuts inside towards the center, shoots the curler, but it misses the left post for a goal kick.
You can tell, like I say, that's a really similar scenario to the last one, where this time he's cut inside on his left foot and not went down the outside. He's so tough. He's a fullback's nightmare. And like I say, I think definitely in the knockout stage of the tournament and within youth football, teams are going to have to double up against him, where a winger's going to have to follow him deep, and obviously have a fullback there for support as well, because it's not as easy as a fullback just being able to say, right, I'm going to show you onto your right foot because you're so technically gifted on your left, because he can do either.
And now the Czech Republic coming the other way. They're working inside the 18-yard box. Pass goes out for Yanega. Back to Vanek. Rips a shot over the net. And that'll be a goal kick on the shot from Lucas Vanek. And U.S. Soccer Show, welcome to one of our new viewers. He posed a question that we have answered during this broadcast, but in case new viewers like U.S. Soccer Show are joining us, the United States is already through. They're the only team in Group I who has clinched a spot in the knockout stage. A win or a draw guarantees the United States the top spot in the group. A loss means that they will still go through, but likely as second in the group, with the tiebreaker of head-to-head victories in group stage trumping goal differential. And regardless, if the United States loses, they'll have the same record as the Czech Republic and down one in the head-to-head matchup. So if the United States loses this matchup today, Burkina Faso, a draw from Burkina Faso, and Burkina Faso draws, then they will finish second in their group. If Burkina Faso wins and the United States loses, USA will finish first in the group. And if the United States ties and Burkina Faso loses or wins, the United States will finish first in the group. So, United States in control. The live standings have USA and Burkina Faso advancing out of Group I, as we're still scoreless in both Group I matchups in this U17 World Cup, as Palisek goes down to the ground and United States are called for a foul on a sliding tackle from Maxi Carrizo. So, as I mentioned, we will be covering the knockout stages in this U17 tournament, and Maxi Carrizo is going to be hit with a yellow card. Apologies for the interruption, Jamie.
That's okay. I was just going to say I completely agree on the knockout stages. I think this will be a big disappointment for the Czech Republic if they are unable to progress, especially given Burkina Faso, who, without meaning any disrespect, obviously are a supposed lesser nation, particularly from a footballing perspective, do manage to progress. But that's the beauty of these youth tournaments, is that it's mad. You can never tell what's going to happen. And I know you were telling me off air before the stream started about Uganda beating the French under-17s team in this tournament as well, which just sums up how mad it can really be.
Hey, you're absolutely right there, Jamie. And though that match didn't have much of an outcome on the standings for Group K, but all teams finished with 4 points. Chile and Uganda forced out of the knockout phases. Canada and France advanced, but Uganda, who has not been to many of these international tournaments for soccer, making a statement that they belong, beating the finalists in last year's U17 World Cup tournament. Another question posed by USA Soccer Show. So we've, as we've kind of touched on, Jamie mentioned that Czechia would certainly be heavily disappointed were they not to advance. United States and the Czech Republic, in that order, were the favorites in this Group I, but Burkina Faso looked impressive against the United States. They were step for step with U.S. soccer in that first match of the tournament, and then beat the Czech Republic in the matchup a couple days ago. So they have really been, you know, the standout, the surprise, I think, of this tournament, the Cinderella, if you will. Certainly not a team with too many expectations, and a team that, and a nation that I knew very little about before the first match of this tournament.
Absolutely. I'll admit I'm still not totally knowledgeable on Burkina Faso, both from a sporting perspective and as a nation in general. But absolutely, if they do manage to get through and the scores stay as they are in this match, then massive congratulations. I'm sure it'll really give the nation something to sing about.
The United States could end up finishing as one of just three nations that have won all three matches in this knockout stage. Argentina went 3-0 through Group D, and Italy went 3-0 through Group A. Hard shot from Czechia right at Aiden Stokes. Pot missile, the shot. Stokes going to the ground to make the save.
Yeah, Novak looking really alive again. His technique's interesting there. I don't think he catches it as well as he'd like to. Obviously, he gets a lot behind the ball, but I think he'd have rather went for the far corner there. But yeah, tests Aiden Stokes, and it's a reminder to the US that they have to stay on the game. They have to be alert because, like the US Soccer Show said, the Czechia will be fighting for their lives in this one, because if they don't win, with how things are looking now, then they'll be out.
And you can absolutely tell that they know that everything is at stake. The United States have showed that they have just some more talented players on their team. No disrespect to Czechia, but the United States, even in a game that Czechia is controlling the tempo, United States is showing off their top players, almost getting a goal there on a great pass from Jude Terry. But Czechia is still controlling the pace of this game and doing their utmost to try and get a shot on goal. But just the class from the U.S. so far in this game has made this a very interesting one.
Yeah, definitely. Good ball there from Albert, and I mean the pass through from Kevin Sullivan just before was excellent. But absolutely, I think you've got to ask the question: when in this game is the tide going to turn and Czechia going to start saying, "Well, we've got to throw everything at this match. We've got to start going long earlier. We've got to start putting in crosses earlier." You know, it's all or nothing for them at this point, and for this young group of players with nothing to lose, I think it's only a matter of time before they start throwing the kitchen sink at it.
I think you're absolutely right, because soon it's going to get to the point where they need to. We're past the hour mark, still 0-0, but in this second half, United States has been controlling more possession after a 50-50 split after half number one. They're now at 53% of the possession against the Czech Republic, where no other team got under 60% before that. Another example of how Czechia is just leaving it all on the field today. You got to respect the hustle from both of these teams over in Qatar. That ball sent forward, but batted away by the Czech Republic. Good try from Mathis Albert, and now Czechia in control, trying to move it forward. Heavy press from the United States, but a foul called and a free kick for the Czech Republic.
Yeah, really interesting. I think one of the big contributing factors to the United States being the more dominant team in the opening 15 minutes, so the second half, is the tactical change to get Kevin Sullivan at least in their in possession shape in more of a central role. You see without the ball, it's still the 4-1-4-1 that they were playing in the first half, but with the ball, he's just been given a little bit more of a free role, and Jude Terry's been allowed to push a little bit wider so Kevin Sullivan can get on the ball deeper and dictate the game. But obviously the introduction of Albert as well, it is obviously, as it's going to be for any team in the U17 tournament, made a big difference already.
You're absolutely right. I mean, Jameer Johnson looked really good on that left wing coming off the bench, but you just see a different level of control with Mathis Albert on the ball on that left side in the second half. The number 11 for Czechia, Peter Potmasil, with the foul, getting a free kick to the United States as Kevin Sullivan is pushed down to the ground by Potmasil. And surprisingly, we don't see the ref go into the book. That was just a blatant push from behind.
Absolutely. That first touch is exceptional, how he's controlled that of his chest as the ball's on its way down. And yeah, I think it was quite a cynical foul there, for sure.
No card, though. Not a play on. The United States still get a free kick as on they move. And Sullivan, certainly not a guy who's going to complain about foul calls. And we're having the comment section blow up about Kevin Sullivan, as we should. And Earl Skokin and our boss, Brian McDonough, just making the very accurate points. Kevin's been everywhere this match. And yeah, I don't think he might have been subbed out for like the last 5 minutes against Tajikistan a couple days ago, but he has been putting in a lot of work in the playoff with the Philadelphia Union and still making the long trip to Qatar for this U17 tournament, playing a massive role in helping this USA U17 team qualify for the knockout stages. And if they're going to make a big run, I think that's going to come off of the brilliance of Kevin Sullivan.
Definitely. Good question from Earl Skokin. I'll pose it to you first, Josh. How do you think Griffin has been playing so far?
Griffin, I think, has been solid, but just kind of quiet. I think part of that is he's been moved from the midfield position back to the left back position. So changing his positioning might have affected things, but he's just been kind of a quiet part of this match. I certainly haven't seen any kind of negative performances, but yeah, I mean, he has just been, kind of overshadowed by a lot of strong United States performances, as we just saw Kevin Sullivan with a chance, an even bigger chance from Jude Terry, who almost just sent in a rocket to the upper 90.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now have a Czech player down.
Jude Terry's been probably one of my favorite performers, obviously, overlooking Kevin Sullivan. He's really impressed me with his movement, his vision. I think technically, obviously, you can tell he's young, his weight of pass at times, and here he strikes the ball really well. It's harsh to probably say he should keep his chest over it and keep it down, because it is a really good connection. That's only probably about 6 inches away from nestling in the roof of the net. But yeah, I've been really impressed with what I've seen from Jude Terry so far in this match.
Yeah, 6 inches might be a little bit generous. That one hit off the underside of the crossbar from Terry. And as you mentioned, really close to just rebounding off the underside of the bar and past that goal line, but was not to be. And it's still 0-0 as the Czech Republic looks like they're getting some substitutions ready. I believe that is Maxim Kotisek getting ready to come in for the Czech Republic. United States has a player down. That is Griffin, who will pop right back up after getting stretched out. He appears to be all right.
Yeah, I've been impressed with Griffin. I totally agree with your sentiment that he's not pulled up any trees so far, but often he's been the outball for the United States when they've been under the cosh a little bit, playing out down his side. I think it's much harder for Griffin to play without Kevin Sullivan ahead of him, as opposed to the opposite right back. But yeah, I agree. He's gotten the ball well. He's done what he's needed to well. And like we were saying with Sakaris earlier, he's allowed the technically better players ahead of him to get on the ball and really have an impact on this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's harder to really see how a defender is impacting the game in a game like soccer when, frankly, there just aren't that many defensive stats that just jump off the page on the score sheet. But Griffin, I definitely agree with your sentiment, Jamie, that he is kind of doing all the little things that help piece this back line and together and help move the attack forward for the United States. It is Czech Republic in control. Sliding tackle made. No foul call as the U.S. defender goes to the ground. Now the Czech Republic have a chance. Inside the box is Potmasil. He goes back. shot rolling into the gloves, and Aiden Stokes makes a great save. Potmasol barely staying onside, makes a nice searching pass inside. Immediate shot and a stop. Hugo Sutrek with the shot, and Aiden Stokes with another save to keep it scoreless.
I don't want to sound like I'm glazing Jude Terry too much, but brilliant defensive work there. He got back behind Zacharias to support his man, not leaving 1v1, then closed down on the edge of the box and just didn't allow the man chance to have a free shot on goal. Then Aiden Stokes doing what he's done really well all match and stopping the ball from going in the net.
Yeah, he has just been lights out for the United States, really, this whole tournament. Aside from that goal from Nazariev for Tajikistan that just kind of slipped in the net in the 3rd minute of USA's last match, Stokes has been near perfect in this one. Make sure to give us a like, follow, subscribe. Join us in the comment section as well. 0-0 matchup in the final game of the group stage before the USA moves to the knockout round, the FIFA U17 World Cup in Qatar. As we'll now see some substitutions for both sides. United States getting some more regular starters back on, as expected after the injury scare. Jordan Griffin will exit. Gio Villa will enter. He has been the starting right back in the first 2 games, for the United States, and the Czech Republic will bring on 2 players. Filip Ruska and Dominik Zajac will enter. Off for the Czech Republic, Jan Janega and Peter Potmasil. So Potmasil and Janega off for the Czech Republic. They're replaced by Ruska and Zajac. United States bring on Villa for Jordan Griffin. And potential injuries aside, what does Gio Villa's substitution change for the United States here?
I think it allows them more control. Obviously, Griffin's a player that will want to open up and try and force things up the line, whereas Villa entering the fray, particularly as a left back in this match, he's going to be a player that's going to want to retain the ball a little bit more, give the United States a bit more control, especially in the face of 2 quite attacking substitutions by the Czech Republic. I think he just brings that extra little bit of technical quality, allows the United States to settle down, get Sanchez on the ball a little bit more in that inside pocket, and hopefully see this game through and maintain control over the last what will be a really tough 20 minutes.
And it looks like we're seeing a switch from Securis moving to left back, giving Gio Villa his customary position at right back for this second half. Obviously, unbeknownst to the Czech Republic, Burkina Faso still even in a 0-0 draw with Tajikistan, as is the case in this one. Sure. And you kind of touched on it a little bit. The Czech Republic know that they need to win to make it to the knockout stages, or even have a chance to make it to the knockout stages. And bringing on Zajac and Hruska, how does this kind of affect their chances and affect what the Czech Republic is going to do in these next 20 minutes or so?
I mean, they're both firstly really technical players. They're the players that you want manipulating the ball in the tight areas that they're going to look to create. They're not on the pitch to impact play from deeper areas. It's going to get to a point that, like you've said, where the Czech Republic are going to have to play a little bit more direct, spin the United States defenders, and they're going to need players that are composed, that are technical in the final third to create chances for them.
And Rushka, one of the new additions to this Czech Republic side, gets beaten by Securis with great one-on-one defense, closing him out on that far side. And it's a goal kick for Stokes and the United States. And, we've talked a lot about how good the offense is and the midfielders and some of the wingers and really all the outfield players for the United States. But I feel like someone that we have not shown enough love to is Aiden Stokes, because he has been absolutely outstanding for the United States in between the pipes so far. Yeah,
absolutely. The Red Bulls have got a really talented player on the hand with Aiden Stokes, and it wouldn't surprise me if over the next couple of years he's a player that we see go through the RB system and make a move over to Europe, because I totally agree. He has been outstanding, and You know, he's not had to produce any worldy saves, but everything that he has had to do, he's done confidently. You know, which is all you can ask for from a goalkeeper.
Exactly. Sometimes you don't need, a mind-blowing diving save to show that you're a world-class goalie, but Aiden Stokes has been just so composed in the back for the United States. Heavy pressure from Czechia all game, making him having to handle the ball in some cases, and it still looks like he's completely unfazed.
Absolutely. You can start to see now the space open up in behind the front press from the Czech Republic. They're pressing still with one striker, but the wings are tucking in to not allow the ball out to the fullbacks, and it's creating that space in behind for the United States to play into midfield a little bit more easily, but also poses that threat and says you can't keep the ball with your centre half and your goalkeeper for the last 15 minutes because we'll try and come and get it. We'll put that pressure up, like you say. So for Aiden Stokes and the two centre halves for the United States in this last 15 minutes, it's going to be really hard for them to try and find that pass into the midfield and into the final third so they don't put themselves under any unnecessary pressure.
USA getting Nimfasha Berchimas ready for the United States. Maxi Carrizo on a yellow card, certainly a candidate to be subbed out for the final 15 minutes and change of regulation and extra time. That one goes out of bounds. Going to be a throw-in for the United States. And we'll hold on that substitution. Berchimas still getting prepped by the U.S. coaching staff. So anyone think that either team is going to get a goal in these next 15 minutes? Still 0-0. Qualification to the knockout stage on the line for Czech Republic. At this point, with a 0-0 tie with Burkina Faso and Tajikistan, they need a victory. But neither team has put one past the goalkeeper thus far today, as it's Jude Terith taken off for Nimfasha Berchimas. An interesting substitution for Gonzalo Segares in the United States.
Yeah, I'll be really interested to see how that one plays out. Obviously, Berchimas being more of an attacking player than Jude Terry. It'll be interesting to see if he's trying to, like we say, exploit that space in behind the front press from the Czech Republic and say, when we break through, but when we manage to pass through the front line press, then we want that real quality on the ball and that real intensity going forward to try and score on themselves instead of protecting their point for the last 15 minutes.
Well, Nurl Skolkin, our stream MVP frontrunner, certainly thinks that the substitution of Berchimas is going to add something to the United States, predicting a 1-0 USA win. And it would fall in line with their first game when Kevin Sullivan came off the bench in the 60th minute, scoring 19 minutes later to make it a 1-0 USA lead and eventually victory over Burkina Faso. Throw in goes out of bounds. And it should be a goal kick now for the United States.
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting to see the position of the Czech Republic wingers now. If you look to start to come inside and close off V on the far side, it's a really aggressive press, and like we say, that there's space in behind they can play into it, but Aiden Stokes dispossessed there.
Czechia just stole the ball off the foot of Aiden Stokes, far enough away from net. They turn it around for a shot. Stokes parries it away, and that's cleared by the United States. Another excellent save by Aiden Stokes. USA running the other end, but it's taken away by the Czech Republic, and they'll turn it around the other side. And you can start to see that sense of urgency for the Czech Republic, knowing that qualification is on the line in these waning moments. As that one passed forward, Berchimas goes after it. He gets taken to the ground. Shot blocked away, coming off the foot of Sucharek. Still not clear. Kevin Sullivan racing after it. He doesn't get there in time. It's slide tackle, but now he'll find some open space. Sullivan escapes the defense and passes it back to Sekiris as he switches to the midfield. 78th minute, still 0-0. United States sprinting forward. Mathis Albert with some room. He scores. United States work towards a goal, potentially putting the nail in the Czech Republic's coffin. And it's Mathis Albert coming off the bench to score in the 78th minute. And the United States are on pace to sweeping this group stage.
Well, just when it looked like the Czech Republic was starting to get a bit of momentum and starting to have that sense of urgency, like you say, excellent, scintillating counter-attack by the United States. And that's what we were talking about. Because the Czech Republic commits so many numbers down one side in the press, if you manage to escape and get out the far side, then there'll be opportunities for you to go 1v1 or 2v1 as you saw in that instance. And a really well-taken goal, a really great finish by Albert.
Mathis Albert with his first goal of the tournament. Beautiful curling strike around the goaltender, and not much you could do about that if you're Adam Parr. And right now, Neural Skolkin Stradamus has the 1-0 scoreline accurately predicted on our stream. And he did say that before the goal was scored. So that would be a guaranteed stream MVP win. Sorry about that, Mr. D'Angelo. But the United States getting the first goal of the match and the first goal for the entirety of Group I in this one. Still scoreless in the Burkina Faso and Tajikistan match, who have 15 minutes remaining. Albert in the 78th for the United States, and now the pressure is on the Czech Republic. As things stand, Czechia will be eliminated. And they need now 2 goals if the scores hold to make it to the knockout stage. United States continuing its run of dominance through this group, because you had to feel that a goal was coming there for the United States, Jamie.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that last 5 minutes was an excellent display of how pressing in units can work and also be a massive hamartia for a team with the Czech Republic. They had that opportunity where the right winger actually came inside it and did dispossess Aidan Stokes, and that could have led, and it did lead to a goal scoring opportunity. And then, 30 seconds, a minute after, they try to do the same again. They try and swarm one side of the United States build-up, and if you manage to get out with that switch of play, then it could be disastrous for you, as it might prove to be for the Czech Republic.
I just had a nice chance on a lofted through ball from Hugo Szucharek, and now a corner kick, the 5th of the game for the Czech Republic, first to be taken by Dominik Zajac. Right-footed player sends in the outswinger, headed away by the United States, but goes back to a red jersey. Szucharek sends it back as Czech Republic puts it back into the cycle with 9 minutes left in regulation. 9 minutes to go. United States with a 1-0 lead, courtesy of Mathis Albert. As the Czech Republic frantically trying to regain control of the ball and the match. Though it's been a very evenly played match for the United States and the Czech Republic so far today. Czechia cutting inside. Good defense by the U.S. I believe that was Gio Villa who got the final foot on that. Takes it off the foot of Novak for a corner kick.
Absolutely. I think if the referee's given a goal kick there, I think this game, as we approach the last 15-20 minutes, was always going to go one of two ways. As Czech Republic started to throw bodies forward and have that sense of urgency and needing to get a goal, it could have either led in a result, a prize of a goal for their hard work, or it creates more space in behind for the US to counter-attack and go on and score. And I think we'll see more of the same across the last 10 minutes, where they'll have to gamble with a little bit more intensity. Now, it could either, I'm stating the obvious, it could either result in an equaliser and then a little bit of momentum, but it creates space in behind for the really talented frontline players of the United States, like Kevin Sullivan, like Mathis Albert, and the number 7, forgive me, I forgot his name, he just came on for the United States. It creates that space and real opportunities for the US to get a second goal here.
That was Berchimas, the United States number 7, who just got on. They'll be adding 2 more players. Adam Novak off for the Czech Republic. Got to make sure who's coming on for him. For the U.S., it looks like Luka Moisa and Kellen LeBlanc will enter the fray. They will replace Kevin Sullivan and Cooper Sanchez. So Sullivan and Sanchez off for LeBlanc and Moisa. And you got to think that Kevin Sullivan off with 7 minutes left in the game. This is just kind of his curtain call as he gets ready for the knockout stages. Sullivan has had a hand in some level. I don't know if he officially got the assist on the Mathis Albert goal, but he was certainly a part of it. Every single goal in the group stages of this U17 tournament, Kevin Sullivan has been a part of it in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I think it's the right decision now, particularly in this game, to give him a bit of a breather by Gonzalo Tagares, because, like Brian alluded to earlier, he's had a heavy season with the Philly Union. His first real season in men's football has been physically draining for him, even though you couldn't tell it on the pitch. So giving him that little bit more time to recover and prep for that first knockout stage game is only a good decision, in my opinion.
And speaking of knockout stages, we have a penalty kick goal for Sheriff Baro of Burkina Faso. Puts Burkina Faso ahead 1-0 over Tajikistan. So, as the score stands, United States will sweep through Group I, and Burkina Faso, after a loss to the United States in the first match of this knockout stage, is in position to advance inside the 80th minute for Burkina Faso against Tajikistan, and inside the 85th for the United States here against Czech Republic, with both scores at 1-0. But we certainly have a surprise in Group I. Not the United States running the table, but Burkina Faso with an excellent rebound after the United States beat them in game number 1.
Definitely. I think this has been one of the more entertaining groups in the U17 World Cup, and the United States have been really assured in their performances so far that they've not really lit up the tournament, but that they've not had to. They've done their jobs, they've got the results, and that's beginning to look how this match is going to play out as well, leading into what will obviously be a fiercely competitive knockout stage against some of the world's best U17 youth teams.
And I mean, this has been a really entertaining group. We've seen a lot of skill from nations that aren't exactly known for soccer, but just looking on how this group has played out, especially for the United States, how much of a shot does this U.S. team have to win this U17 tournament?
I think any team, without wanting to overly glorify the two wide men, any team in a U17 World Cup that has Kevin Sullivan and Mathis Albert is absolutely within a chance of having success. Obviously there's lots of other countries with talented players and talented systems and coaches, but the individual quality of them two forward players is up there with the best in the tournament for me. And you can just see behind the team spirit in the group as well. Obviously, we've said about how well Aiden Stokes has done too, and the back lads. That I wouldn't say it's out of the question for the United States to go really far in this tournament. Maybe win it a bit of a stretch, but there's that much quality in a under 17 football. You never know. There's been some mad results already. I wouldn't totally put it out of the question that the US men's national team can be in with a shout of contesting the tournament for sure.
United States has one top 4 finish. That was back in 1999. Had some deep runs with guys like Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie in there. Kevin Sullivan certainly seems like he is establishing himself as the next great U.S. star in this one. And it seems like we have another decision. Giuseppe D'Angelo, the reigning Stream MVP here, might have just given the Stream MVP award to our friend Neural Skolkin. I think it's pretty clear we can crown that award as well with just a few minutes left in this USA tie. So congratulations to Neural Skolkin for the match MVP, even with Giuseppe D'Angelo pointing out that the 99 team had maybe the best U.S. soccer player ever in that big U17 World Cup run. This team, I don't know if it's deeper than that 99 squad, but this team really looks like it could go on a run as Stokes makes a save from a poor angle from the Czech Republic.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we talk about the quality Landon Donovan had back in '99. I don't think it's too bold of a shout to say that Kevin Sullivan is miles off where he was at under 17 level. And I mean, like we said with Phil Foden, if he turns out to be anything as good as Landon Donovan was as a final product, then it'll definitely be a massive positive for the US men's national team.
Do you think Kevin Sullivan has a shot at the 2026 Senior World Cup team for the USA?
I think it's a good question. I definitely wouldn't want to rule him out. For me, I think how well he's doing for the Philadelphia Union, it might just be a bit too soon for Mauricio Pochettino to consider him, especially with how well some of the forwards for the US men's national team are doing elsewhere in Europe at the moment. But it might be one of those introductory tournaments where the experience they'll get just from being in the squad for a World Cup would be unlike anything he's experienced in his career so far. So I wouldn't rule him out completely, but I think he's probably still a little bit of the way off.
Both Giuseppe and Nurls make good points. Giuseppe, his point, maybe for exposure, putting Kevin Sullivan on there. I mean, we've seen it at the national level. This is a basketball example, but I think it was 2012 when Anthony Davis was the top-ranked college prospect. Of course, USA Basketball, completely different scenario. They have dominated that on the international stage for decades now. But you've seen top college prospects like Christian Laettner with the Dream Team in 1992, Anthony Davis before he was made the number 1 overall pick with the United States team in the Olympics in 2012. And that's really Kevin Sullivan. There's no better U.S. soccer prospect than Kevin Sullivan right now. It might be good for him just to be on the bench and learning from some more experienced players and a guy like Pochettino as the head coach who has been everywhere in European soccer. But Nurls Skoken also makes a good point that this U17 national tournament, he's doing great, but against men of the age group that he'll be playing in the World Cup, he hasn't done much in, frankly, limited opportunity for the Philadelphia Union senior team. I mean, granted, he's only played a small handful of matches for them, but the fact that he's still featuring in those matches at this young of an age is really impressive. So really, I could see both sides of it, but I definitely agree that it's more likely that we'll see Kevin Sullivan make his World Cup debut in 2030.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I think to make his debut on the pitch, you'd be surprised if it wasn't 2030 at the very earliest. But I also totally agree that for exposure for him and to just really get everyone excited about US soccer, I think in national team football, soccer worldwide, having a storyline and having someone for the fans that might not even be soccer fans over in the US, but say, that this boy from Philly's 17, as he will be then, is in the World Cup squad. And it's something that it's a feel-good story everyone can get behind and really contribute towards the rapid growth of the sport over in the United States.
And to Giuseppe's point about Kobe practicing with the 76ers back when he was 14, that's a slightly different scenario. When he was 14, Kobe's dad was recently retired from those same Philadelphia 76ers. So, that's a little bit of nepotism allowing Kobe to practice, but still he was practicing with an NBA team and holding his own. And that's what Kevin Sullivan has been doing. He has been clearly the best player of Group I in this U17 tournament. And he's shown that he can play with the big boys of the MLS when he's been with the Philly Union. Sure, he's not instantly coming in and turning into a superstar like Lamine Yamal did in Barcelona and with the Spanish national team, but running with a professional team, running with the highest level of soccer in your country at 15, 16 years old as the youngest player to be called up to a senior team in the MLS, that is nothing to shake a stick at. That is certainly impressive, as the refs are now reviewing a yellow card drawn by Mateo Securis in the waning moments. In extra time, United States, the 1-0 lead, and only about one more action for Czech Republic once the end of this VAR finishes up. Burkina Faso is poised for victory against Tajikistan with their 1-0 lead in the 88th.
Yeah, this could be a real dampener on this match for the US national team. If this is a red card for Zakaris.
Yeah, they're looking at the handball.
Rule him out of
the
next match, and he would be a big miss. I said earlier, he's one of my favorite players in this squad.
He has played in every match of this World Cup so far. I don't know if we're going to see a handball because we certainly aren't seeing the ref reach for his pocket. So it appears the United States. Wait, looks like he's going in the front pocket now. Sakiris is just hoping that card's not red, and it's yellow. So 2 yellow cards in the match, and there's the second yellow for Sakiris. So the United States will be playing with 10 men for a short time and miss the versatile Mateo Sakiris in the first match of this knockout stage. And that is a tough way to finish off what has been a great match for the United States because Sakiris has played in the midfield, in the attacking, as a forward and as a defender in the first 3 games of this group stage.
Yeah, that's a big loss for the United States and one that will really hurt Mateo himself. It was a challenge that he didn't need to make so late on in this match, but he's obviously just went in too hard and not slowed down as he's got to his man, and it's cost him massively there.
Czech Republic on their last run. They'll have a couple added minutes of extra times as we're 2 minutes clear of the +3 mark, but Aiden Stokes snatches a cross out of the air, and that might just do it for the Czech Republic in this U17 tournament. Stokes puts the ball on the ground, boots it across the timeline, and that will do it for Group I. Burkina Faso with a 1-0 victory. An unfortunate late card for Mateo Sakiris casts a pall on an otherwise dominant group stage run for the United States, where they were one of 3 teams joined by 2 other World Cup winning legendary football nations of Italy and Argentina, who have swept through the group stage and controlled possession in each of their first 3 games. And the United States, with 3 wins, will head to the knockout stage undefeated. But Sakiris, a tough loss. Jamie, your final thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think a much tighter game than we perhaps anticipated. I think, honestly, it could have went either way. The US men's national team probably had more chances over the course of the match, but obviously in the first half, Czechia did miss some really good set play opportunities. I think in the end, the US men's national team ended up coming away with the 3 points just purely off of the Czech Republic's need to up the intensity, up the ante, and force a goal to keep themselves in the tournament. But I think there's lots of reason to be excited going into the knockout stages. And yeah, obviously, of them, Mateo Sakiris' red card, which does put a dampener on the match, really well done. And yeah, a well-deserved victory, in my opinion.
And a really well-worked group stage. United States will be in prime position once we get to the knockout stage. We will keep you posted on information in terms of our streams, USA's position. Make sure to follow us on social media, as you can see below. You can also give us a like, a follow, subscribe here on the YouTube page. But that is it for a spectacular knockout stage for the United States. Josh Sperber here, Jamie Lauder, with our fearless leader, Brian McDonough, watching from the skies somewhere. Thank you guys for tuning in to these watch-alongs. Really enjoy bringing these few guys for the MLS Cup, for United States matches, and it's been a lot of fun at covering this USA team through to the knockout stage, and just a great setup for the U.S. in these knockout stages coming up next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Big thank you to Gregorio for the donation in the chat. Paraguay in the round of 32, he says.
That looks like a possibility. We won't know the confirmed matchups until probably tomorrow. But again, we'll keep you posted on that through our social media. We'll also hopefully be doing some more of these for the knockout rounds, as the United States will continue their run in this U17 tournament. And they certainly look like they've got a good chance to go further than they had before. For myself, Josh Sperber, my broadcast partner, Jamie Lauder, and our fearless leader, Brian McDonough, thank you again for tuning in to another State of Soccer Watch-Along. We hope that you'll join us for the knockout stages, and we'll get that info to you as soon as possible. Until then, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching along with us on State of Soccer, and enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great one, everybody.